An FDA advisory committee votes to recommend a coronavirus vaccine for emergency use. We'll have the latest. Plus, how pharmacies are preparing to distribute the vaccine. And Joplin police arrest 2 suspects connected to a deadly arson.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, we'll have basketball highlights from the Carthage Boys Invitational Tournament. And Time Magazine names Joe Biden and Kamala Harris as 2020's person, or rather persons of the year. For our Something to Talk About, we want to know if you think of what you think of the choice and who your pick would have been. You can also participate in our Insta poll at KOAMnews.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
Nice shout out to our incomparable producer, Caden Milner, just making it a nice laid-back Friday. Thank you, Caden. Skywatch storm tracker with rain tracking in from the southwest. It is upon us right now with heavy cloud cover. You know, it doesn't look too impressive, but we are seeing it come down just in little spurts every now and then. And like I say, when you look down to the southwest, let's remove the cloud cover and get a better view of it. Give you an idea that it's a long way from over. It's going to be a wet Friday. And we've also been talking about the cooler temperatures on the backside of it. Live look from the Freeman Health System sky camera in Joplin. Still an extremely comfortable 60 degrees outside. It's absolutely delightful. 54 in Parsons, 53 in Nevada, 55 in Anderson. I want to pick on that dividing line right there. See that Sedan Neodesha Chanute line? You get on the backside of that, you get the north wind coming in. Even up there, Yates Center 49. Anything that does flip over, late this morning / afternoon, nothing's going to be able to stick around on the ground. You can tell the snow, has already made its way up through Nebraska. Our ground is just too warm, not necessarily a bad thing. But also, too, we know what we have in store is we're going to have colder temperatures on the backside of it. So we'll watch the thermometer slowly dip down as we get into Friday night / Saturday morning. Because once we begin to digress, say 2-3 o'clock, we just continue to go down. And so here, I got to change that. That's off one day. Just think about today's 56, Saturday 42. Here, let's do it on air. This is the great thing about fixing things in the morning. You ready for this, Tanya?
Sure.
All right, ready? Boom! TV magic.
Look at that.
See that works? Yeah, but anyway.
It's coming.
It's going to be 42 and 36. So yeah, once we start to go down this afternoon, we go straight down.
That was going to be my question. When do the temperatures start to drop?
We'll still be sitting 50s for the afternoon. I just can't get that to hold. That's what I've been trying to figure out this morning.
Nobody wants that cold front to come.
No, so we'll still be in the 50s this afternoon.
Okay.
I want to go evening / sunset. Say, I don't know, but it was 5:30 in earnest when you lose all your daylight.
So do the temperatures.
And really, so it's going to be wet, but our temperatures aren't going to be too bad through the afternoon. It's not like we're getting the rug pulled out from us this morning.
All right.
It's not going to be that dramatic 30-degree plunge. We're not going to see that.
Because honestly, the temperatures right now, it's pretty decent.
Oh, it's delightful outside. Yeah, it almost feels like I don't want to say spring rain, but.
Well, you feel that humidity out there.
And yeah, that's about the extent of it right now. It's not a dry winter morning that's freezing or anything like that. You walk outside, you go, this is pretty comfortable. Oh wait, the sprinkles coming down. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, we'll be ready for
We
it.
gotta fix this.
While you work on that.
I don't know why it's fighting me. Oh wait.
It's Friday? No, it's not Monday. There you go.
Gotcha. Friday, got it.
All right, well, here's some good news. The coronavirus vaccine is one step closer to rolling out across the country after a panel of independent scientists concluded the one from Pfizer-BioNTech is safe and effective. It comes as the nation is facing a record number of daily deaths. Bafta Imam has the latest.
And independent review of the data.
A government advisory panel voted to recommend widespread use of the coronavirus vaccine from Pfizer and BioNTech yesterday.
So we do have a favorable vote
The Food and Drug Administration is now expected to follow suit.
We could see FDA authorization of the first vaccine in the United States within days.
Health and Human Services Secretary Alex Azar says doses will start shipping within 24 hours of the FDA's emergency use authorization.
I'm on call for when it gets delivered.
Some hospitals have already been sent vaccine kits containing syringes, masks, and a diluting agent.
The logistics here are going to be complex, but we're really excited about it.
The vaccine is coming at a time when the U.S. is seeing a record number of daily deaths. More than 3,100 Americans died on Wednesday.
COVID-19 was the #1 cause of death in Idaho in November.
The first doses will go to healthcare workers and nursing home residents, with most of the general public not expected to get the shots until the spring.
The whole country's on fire. This crisis that we have right now, the vaccine is not going to save us.
Health workers are concerned the holiday season is just making matters worse.
It's very frustrating for us because we're trying to save people and take care of you.
Next week, the vaccine from Moderna is scheduled to go through the same approval process as the Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine. Bofta Imam, CBS News, Washington.
Vaccines from Johnson & Johnson and AstraZeneca and Oxford University are also in the pipeline. Well, now that a COVID-19 vaccine is one step closer to approval, pharmacies are getting ready to put it in the hands of those most vulnerable. CVS and Walgreens both have contracts with the federal and state governments to distribute vaccines to long-term care facilities. CVS says they're hiring more than 10,000 new employees by the end of the year so they can serve the more than 40,000 facilities that have signed up. Walgreens has increased its ability to store the vaccine that requires sub-zero temperatures and are ready to take it to more than 30,000 nursing homes. In Missouri, the Department of Health expects that distribution to start around December 21st. Joplin police arrest 2 people in connection with a deadly fire on December 4th. The suspects, Tiffany Lukasevich from Pittsburgh and Elizabeth Bays from Joplin, are charged with second-degree murder, first-degree arson, and first-degree domestic assault for the fire on South Pitcher that killed 68-year-old David Crowder and hospitalized 2 women. Decades of Wheels in Baxter Springs, Kansas announces it is closing for the winter. The owners say the decision was made because of difficulty staffing during the pandemic. Decades of Wheels comprises a car museum, arcade, event center, and inn. The arcade and event center will close on December 14th, and the museum and inn will close on December 21st. An official at the Crawford County Mental Health Center created a new art club designed to help children with behavioral health issues. Stephen Hugmeda is a case manager in the children's program at the center. After recently becoming interested in art himself, he began researching techniques for mental health treatment. Hugmeda says the club helps kids develop good behavior.
Kids who struggle to listen, follow directions, just basically focus on something. This artwork that we're doing with the kids has helped them be able to work on skills to be able to focus, concentrate.
The art club members are currently making Christmas ornaments they plan to display at the mental health building. Southeast Kansas assisted living facility Guest Home Estates has been looking a little more like the North Pole lately. Officials at the center and Erie Federated Church were looking to give the residents something to do. So they created the Elves and Angels program. They partnered with the KOAM Toy Box campaign to help distribute toys, and the residents helped get those toys ready for the kids.
Many of these children would not have Christmas without these gifts. And so we're glad that we're able to be a part of giving them Christmas.
The church and nursing home are serving 127 kids in Erie, St. Paul, Walnut, Stark, and Galesburg, Kansas this year. It's 5:07.
I don't want to overstate it because it's not going to feel like it's the North Pole in the 4 states, but our cooler temperatures are certainly on the way. We've kind of topped out for the day, and it's not going to be one of those serious drops in temperatures as Tanya and I were talking about. It'll be slow and steady here kind of through the evening and nighttime hours. But it's going to be a wet one too as the rain persists all the way through the southwest. We'll pick up anywhere from 1/2 inch to 1.25 inches by the time we're said and done.
That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, Carthage boys welcome in Ray Peck for the opening night of the Carthage Boys Invitational. We have the highlights, plus what's behind Time's choice for 2020's Person of the Year, and how a Missouri coffee shop is making ordering a cup of joe more accessible for deaf people. You're watching the KOAM Morning News, or Real News in the Morning. We'll be right back.
College Junction girls had a 30-game win streak snapped last week, finished second to Nixa at the CJ Classic. Last night, CJ back on the floor against Carthage, this time at the Joplin Lady Eagle Classic, aiming to begin a new winning streak. Carthage also off to a good start. Tigers 4-1 through their first five. First quarter, Destiny Berge. Little defense, a little steal. Go finish that. Nice! Bucket foul. Bulldogs lead by 2 after the first quarter. Second quarter now. Tigers down. Pass inside. Haley Fullerton up and in. Carthage all of a sudden had a 1-point lead. Fullerton had 25 points. Third quarter, Jessa Hilton, short jumper. She had 10. CJ down 1 at the end of 3. Berge, more defense. Another steal, another finish. Bulldogs up 10 as Berge had a game-high 28 points. Less than a minute to play. Carthage keeping it close. Kiana Yates, triple, gets the Tigers within 2, but CJ holds on and wins this. New streak intact. Bulldogs victors 52-51. More local tournament action. Opening night of the Carthage Boys Invitational. Always a holiday tradition in the 4 states. Joplin Eagles were the first local team in action. Got to face West Plains in the tournament quarterfinals. Joplin 2-0, coming in with wins over Mack County and Pittsburgh. First quarter, that dude always right. Step back 3. Eagles lead by 1 after the first quarter. The Fighting Hafers get it going in the second. Dante Washington to Dom Simmons. He hits the 3. Simmons, what a bounce pass. As Joe Jasper on the receiving end for the easy 2. And then right before the half, always right, finish it off. Dom Simmons, good night for him. How about 3 threes to finish with 9 points? And then All Right goes baseline. That's right, All Right. He had 13. That dude, yeah, always had 29. 29. Oh, by the way, he didn't even play most of the fourth quarter. Joplin rolls 64-36. After that, tournament host Carthage on the floor against Raymore Peculiar. Yeah, I always call him Ray Peck in the sports world. Shooting the ball well early. Joel Pugh open with back-to-back threes. And Patrick Carlton, a name you know from Carthage, Carlton family. He had a pair of threes in the first as well. Check this out, though. Final seconds of the first. Miles Sutton. Whoo! That's worth showing. Carthage down 3 after 1 second quarter. Nice look into Caden Cabins. But Ray Peck too strong as they win it 73-55. Pittsburgh State Gorillas in action last night. They were on the road in Jeff City against Lincoln in the women's game. It was a good one down the stretch. Gorillas win it 83-76. Tristan Gay, get this, played all 40 minutes and tied a career high with 31 points. Got to go back to February of last year against Washburn. Last time she put up 31. An amazing night for her. As for the men, Blue Tigers win it 76-55. Martin Boast leads the way for Pittsburgh State with 14 points. A pair of Columbus High School seniors signing to continue their athletic careers in college, both staying in Kansas and playing at the next level. Dixie Layson signed today to run cross country at Barton Community College. Layson, a state qualifier for the Titans this past season. And Cameron Drager going to Pitt State to join Bob Fernelli and the Gorillas baseball program. Congratulations to both those kids and their families as well. Still to come on the KOAM Morning News, why U.S. officials are issuing a warning about the threat of Chinese espionage. And a check on our 7-day forecast when the KOAM Morning News returns. Just past 5:17 on this Friday morning, going to be a wet Friday. Now we know that cold front is coming from the west as well. It's not going to be one of those where we have a tremendous quick drop. It'll kind of be a slow and steady decrease on the mercury. So our temperatures actually very comfortable right now, and we're not looking at anything severe with the precipitation that we are going to have. From the Freeman Health System sky camera, like I said, we're sitting at 60 degrees right now. Let's go, just take a revert back right here. You know, we got heavy rain up to the northeast, down to the southwest, but for the most part, our rain just kind of going to be steady today, you know, not going to be anything too impressive. 58 in Lamar, 57 in Welch, and let's go 50 in Iola. Even the cooler temperatures that we're seeing, our ground's just going to be too warm to support any of that wintry mix even sticking around. So what we'll see as far as our weather trend goes, like I said, we've kind of topped out temperature-wise right now, but we don't see the dip toward freezing until we get into tonight/tomorrow. But like I said, it's going to be a wet Friday. Don't go anywhere without the umbrellas because it's going to stick around. So temperatures are going to be cool on Saturday, and then when we get into Sunday, you'll see a little bit of the snow emerge there from the west. We're not going to be able to get much of it. It's actually going to break up pretty well before it gets to us. But bundle up if you're out and about this weekend. And once again, it's a fact that, you know, we broke records in Joplin yesterday. So anything we do see on Sunday, not really going to hang. Time now to turn our attention to the KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. Time Magazine announcing its 2020 Person of the Year. But how about persons? It's President-elect Joe Biden and Vice President-elect Kamala Harris as they beat out other contenders like President Donald Trump and Dr. Anthony Fauci. Biden and Harris making history in a contentious November election. Our particular question for you on the KOAM Facebook page and our morning Insta poll: who do you think the magazine should have named? And do you agree with this year's selection? You can log on to our Facebook page and also go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Health Watch is next.
An FDA advisory committee votes to recommend a coronavirus vaccine for emergency use. We'll have the latest. Plus, how pharmacies are preparing to distribute the vaccine. And Joplin police arrest 2 suspects connected to a deadly arson.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 5:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, our morning talker today is about Time's Person of the Year. We're asking what you think about the magazine choosing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. We also invite you to participate in our Insta poll. Just visit KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
All right, Tanya, I think most people pick up between 1/4 and 1/2 inch of rain throughout the course of Friday. Now, when we see the yellow pop up, and you'll see that when we get to future track, that's going to be anywhere from inch and 1/4. But that's really going to be isolated areas right there. And believe it or not, by the time it's all said and done, we're actually going to be talking about the possibility of some snow here over the weekend. Let's get into our temperatures first. Here's why that snow is not going to really amount to anything, because our temperatures right now, 60 degrees in Joplin, coming off of a record-setting December 10th. Finally broke that record yesterday. Got up into the low 70s. As far as what we're seeing everywhere else, 58 in Miami, 53 in Chanute, 51 in Nevada. We're not even flirting with the old freezing mark right there. But look at the trough of the jet stream. Look how that thing's moved. Now sitting over the Panhandle. That thing was up in Arizona yesterday. So it's been a fast mover, and you could tell how it's channeling all that moisture out of Texas right through us. So for our weather trend for today, it's not going to be a tremendously quick drop. Kind of topped out right now. Will steadily drop throughout the afternoon hours. But you'll also notice the rain is pretty much here to stay. It's just going to keep on rolling up from the southwest there all the way into the evening hours. Now, Saturday, kind of clear out, but Saturday's going to be chilly, especially compared to what we had past couple of days. And then we get into Sunday. All right, now watch this. This thing swooped through on the southern portion right there. All right, so a little snow, a little wintry mix. Got Sunday morning plans. Be apprised of that. But also, too, it's not like one of those things where everything's going to stick around simply because we've been so warm Thursday and Friday. It's going to really help the ground out even by the time we get to Sunday.
Yeah. I'm not complaining that it's not sticking around, so.
Yeah, I think we'll see some minor accumulation. The old famous saying, minor accumulation on grassy areas and elevated surfaces. That's what it's going to amount to. Let's not look for snowman making weather nor any cancellations on Monday. That's not going to happen.
Just let it go. All right. Thanks, Michael. Well, coronavirus vaccine is on the verge of being approved in the U.S. An FDA advisory committee voted Thursday to endorse Pfizer's vaccine for emergency use. The agency is expected to move quickly to make it widely available. The vaccine's approval came on the same day that more than 3,300 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the country. It was the most since the pandemic began, breaking a record set a day earlier. And now that a COVID-19 vaccine is one step closer to approval, pharmacies are getting ready to put it in the hands of those most vulnerable. CVS and Walgreens both have contracts with the federal and state governments to distribute vaccines to long-term care facilities. CVS says they're hiring more than 10,000 new employees by the end of the year so they can serve the more than 40,000 facilities that have signed up. Walgreens has increased its ability to store the vaccine that requires sub-zero temperatures and are ready to take it to more than 30,000 nursing homes. In Missouri, the Department of Health expects that distribution to start around December 21st. Joplin police arrest 2 people in connection with a deadly fire on December 4th. The suspects, Tiffany Lukasevich from Pittsburgh and Elizabeth Baez from Joplin, are charged with second-degree murder, first-degree arson, and first-degree domestic assault for the fire on South Pitcher that killed 68-year-old David Crowder and hospitalized 2 women. Kansas Governor Laura Kelly appoints the current lieutenant governor as their next state treasurer. Lynn Rogers will replace outgoing Kansas treasurer Jake LaTurner following his election to Kansas' 2nd congressional district. Governor cited her running mate's nearly 40-year career in banking as the key reason for the appointment. Rogers says he hopes to expand state programs designed to help farmers and prospective homeowners obtain low-interest loans. The Democrat also plans to seek a full 4-year term in 2022. Heartland Rural Electric Cooperative is building solar farms across the state of Kansas, and that includes one in Girard near Greenbush along Highway 47. The solar farm will not just provide power for nearby residents, but also a learning opportunity for the students at Greenbush.
And so we'll actually be helping to have education resources available for students after COVID happens, or after COVID is gone. We'll be able to have education resources for those students to be able to come learn about renewable energy.
Another solar array will be built in Neosho County between Erie and Chanute along 160th Road. And there's a new transportation option in Pittsburgh, Kansas. Bird scooters have been available to rent for the past 2 weeks. And with today's warm weather, people were taking advantage of the option. KOAM's Mike Mahoney spoke to some Pitt State students out for a scooter ride to find out what they think.
Pittsburgh residents might be noticing a new fleet of rentable scooters scooting around the city limits.
We kept seeing them parked around town and we're like, oh my gosh, that looks like so much fun. And then I've talked to
friends did it too, and he said it was really fun.
The Bird Company has brought a fleet of 50 electric scooters to town for folks to rent, and City Hall is happy to have them here.
We're not in the habit of restricting businesses, so we're certainly wanting to have have them as a business in Pittsburgh. We also think that it's a transportation option.
Pitt State students and friends McKenna Jennings and Courtney Mine spent part of their Thursday taking advantage of that option.
I like it.
It's
a
fun.
lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. It's good to get out and do something, especially in the pandemic.
And speaking of the pandemic, these riders say they don't have any coronavirus concerns over using a scooter that anybody can rent because of Bird's COVID-19 safety measures.
On the app, it tells you that they wipe them down and they clean them, so I feel like it's pretty safe. So
you can always bring your own wipes too and wipe them down before you ride them too if you have concerns.
And speaking of apps, that's exactly how you rent a Bird scooter. The Bird app will tell you where you can find one and charge you 39 cents a minute plus tax to ride them. When riders are done, Bird asks that they leave the scooter in a safe spot where the Bird cleaning team can pick them up.
You can ride for as long as you want. You can end your ride whenever you want.
And you can just leave them wherever you want to, so that's kind of convenient too. You don't have to take them back to a certain spot or anything.
In Pittsburgh, Mike Mahoney, KOAM News.
I've been seeing those around town too. A Bird spokesperson tells KOAM they've been happy with their Pittsburgh debut and also say people looking for an activity that lends itself to social distancing should give their scooters a shot.
So great if they were actual spokespeople for actual birds.
Yeah, that's a look at our top news stories. Coming up this half hour in the KOAM Morning News, how a Missouri woman is using coffee to honor her mother who passed away. Plus, hundreds of Honduran migrants begin a trek to the U.S.-Mexico border. We'll have the latest there. But first, it's 5:37.
And here's where we stand with our Friday morning rain. Now, our temperatures certainly aren't too bad, but we're kind of locked in with precipitation that will persist all day long. Not looking at anything severe, and really we don't get the tremendous cold front that roll in until after sunset. So probably about 5, 6 o'clock you'll notice the tremendous difference. But a chilly weekend, even a chance for some snow for the southern 4 states on Sunday. We'll be right back with World Watch next.
Topping World Watch, the nation's top diplomat is issuing fresh warnings about the threat from China. Jennifer Griffin has details this morning from the Pentagon.
Their fighter jets look remarkably like U.S. fifth-generation warplanes. Their hackers tried to steal the COVID vaccine from the U.S. last summer, and many of the 400,000 students sent to the U.S. from mainland China each year are actually spies for the Chinese Communist Party.
They want to influence American students as well, professors and administrators too. Look, they know that left-leaning college campuses are rife with anti-Americanism and present easy targets for their anti-American messaging.
Earlier this year, the head of Harvard's chemistry department was charged with lying to the federal government about his relationship with Wuhan University of Technology, accepting $50,000 a month to be a strategic scientist as part of an aggressive Chinese attempt to recruit scientists to share their work. Last summer, the U.S. government ordered the closure of China's consulate in Houston for its role in economic espionage.
The Chinese Communist Party was using their consulate in Houston as a den of spies.
After a half-dozen suspected Chinese spies were arrested last summer, 1,000 Chinese researchers on university campuses suddenly left the U.S.
Those 5 or 6 arrests were just the tip of the iceberg. And honestly, the size of the iceberg is one that I don't know that we or other folks realized how large it was when we began down that road.
Since the U.S. election, Chinese influence operations targeting the Biden administration have been on steroids, according to the National Counterintelligence Chief.
We've also seen an uptick, which was planned, and we predicted that China would now revector their influence campaigns to the new administration.
Yesterday, the FCC designated China's top telecommunications firm, Huawei, as a national security threat. In an attempt to reach the U.S. border, hundreds of Hondurans headed towards Guatemala Wednesday night. According to international organizations, over 4 million Central Americans, 3 million of them in Honduras, have been greatly affected by poverty, violence, and the effects of the coronavirus. In addition, the recent hurricanes have brought economic devastation to the country's poor. San Pedro Sula, where 45% of the country's income is produced, suffered massive crop losses, which has prompted a fear of food shortage. Breathtaking views from an ice cave in the Swiss Alps. Now, these amazing wonders of nature form naturally on a high-altitude glacier in the Swiss Alps. Yesterday, visitors got to enter the, quote, ice cathedral to take in the mesmerizing scenes. Organizers say the size and the shape of the cave vary dramatically year to year as the natural cave fills with water from the snow melt each spring and summer and then drains to form shape by the winter time. This year, the cave has a rounded ceiling and is said to be more steep, giving the image of an ice cathedral. Let's look at some of your biggest headlines from around the world. Let's toss it over to Michael for something to talk about. And speaking of caves, there's a new line of toys out this year featuring cave people. Michael.
I got a producer that's opening Pandora's box on me on a Friday, and you want to talk about cave people. It's the world that I live in on a Friday, folks. I put on a tie for this, by the way. Time Magazine's Person of the Year. It's actually People of the Year. It's Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. I'm going to burn this clock, Caden. We're asking you if you think it was the correct choice, and if not, who do you think it should have been? Fair Insider, I don't think the late Billy Mays is allowed to be Person of the Year, but he says riding 2020 to the bitter end. Rob Gatz goes with a nope. Steve Uri Ross, I would have agreed with our essential and frontline workers. That's a good one. Bob Koch, Another wasted news article on these two. They've done nothing good for America and don't really show anything impressive. Lori Davis says both are idiots, so no. Catherine Patterson-Dukes can't believe what she just saw. She says, say what? And Shane Robinson says, what a ridiculous selection. We'll continue to roll your comments. We got great engagement today. Comments are just really quickly piling up. 70% of you also say no, you do not agree with time selection. And you can take part in it. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. We'll be right back after this.
Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A coronavirus vaccine is on the verge of being approved in the U.S., and an FDA advisory committee voted Thursday to endorse Pfizer's vaccine for emergency use. The agency is expected to move quickly to make it widely available. The vaccine's approval came on the same day that more than 3,300 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the country. It was the most since the pandemic began, breaking a record set a day earlier. And now that a COVID-19 vaccine is one step closer to approval, pharmacies are getting ready to put it in the hands of the most vulnerable. CVS and Walgreens both have contracts with the federal and state governments to distribute vaccines to long-term care facilities. CVS says they're hiring more than 10,000 new employees by the end of the year so they can serve the more than 40,000 facilities that have signed up. Walgreens has increased its ability to store the vaccine that requires sub-zero temperatures. Joplin police arrest 2 people in connection with a deadly fire on December 4th. The suspects, Tiffany Lukasevich from Pittsburgh and Elizabeth Baez from Joplin, are charged with second-degree murder, first-degree arson, and first-degree domestic assault for the fire on South Pitcher that killed 68-year-old David Crowder and hospitalized 2 women. Heartland Rural Electric Cooperative is building solar farms across the state of Kansas, and that includes one in Girard near Greenbush along Highway 47. Another solar array will be built in Neosho County between Erie and Chanute along 160th Road. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
So this band that we got that works from southwest to northeast is going to continue to roll throughout the course of the day, anywhere from quarter to, say, an inch of rain. See an inch and a quarter in some isolated areas, but nothing severe by any means. Temperatures really don't drop until we get past sunset at 5:01. We'll be back right after this.
A woman in the St. Louis area did something very special to honor her mother after her mom died from coronavirus. She not only paid tribute to her mother, but did it in a way that shared love with total strangers. Kim St. Ange reports.
She was so loving and so caring. Family was everything to her.
Harriet should still be here.
It makes me so angry because my mom didn't deserve COVID. No one deserves COVID, but we had done everything in our power to prevent her from being exposed.
She was exposed to COVID while at a nursing facility and was hospitalized in early November. Her daughter, Sharon, says her mom survived and doctors were about to send her home, but she was too weak, so her family sent her back to the nursing facility for physical therapy.
They found her unresponsive on November 29th.
Sharon wanted to honor her mom, deciding to include one of her mom's favorite things.
In her memory, I bought 82 white mochas, one for every year of her life.
Sharon asked Starbucks to give them to the first 82 people who ordered a white mocha, along with this letter she typed up explaining the drink was in honor of Harriet.
Such a cool thing that they did to bring joy to people where there's not a whole lot of it going on right now.
Lori Kelsey was certainly surprised when she went to pick up her daughter's drink and didn't have to pay.
It was really sweet, but a sad reminder of everything that's going on.
The letter's one request.
All we ask in return is that people mask and distance and wash their hands and stay home and do all of the things that the CDC recommends to prevent getting and spreading COVID.
Sharon says if her mom's death can spread this message, then she didn't die in vain, knowing that even though the 82 drinks have all been handed out, her memory can live on.
If you really want to think of my mom, add a couple extra pumps of the white mocha. She liked it extra sweet.
Another cool part of this story, Sharon says when she went to go pick up the 82 copies of those letters that she asked Starbucks to hand out with each white mocha, she says FedEx right here wouldn't let her pay. The kindness, she says, made her cry.
That's a sweet story. It's a sad ending, but Hopefully some good will come out of it.
Speaking of letters, we got to get some to the big man.
That's right. Quite a few.
That's right. We got notes to the North Pole. And all you need to do is go to KOAMnewsnow.com. And on the right-hand side, you're going to find a link that simply says Notes to the North Pole. You click on that. You can fill it out yourself, or maybe you want to sit down and have the kids fill it out with you, because I don't know who's got the connection here. I'm actually just going to say it was probably our incomparable producer, Caden Milner. He's probably got the connection to the big man up north. Well, I don't know why you're raising your hand. It's not, no, I'm giving Caden all the credit on this. Caden has a direct connection. Santa's going to come on and read these from the 17th to the 24th on air, right here on the KOAM Morning News, at around 6 o'clock hour. So it's going to be a really awesome thing that we're able to have Santa come on. And I hope your kids take advantage of it, and I hope they really enjoy it as well. Hey, really fast, we're talking about our Time People of the Year, asking you if you agree with Joe Biden and Kamala Harris being named, or if you have an alternative selection. You can go to the KOAM News Now Facebook page, let us know what you think. As far as our Insta poll goes this morning, 68% of you say you do not agree with this year's selection. And then, of course, you can still log on and vote. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. Be right back after this. Wouldn't exactly call it widespread, because we're kind of skirting the rain down to the southeast and the far northwest. So remove the satellite cover and see what we got here. Not looking at anything severe. Really haven't had any heavy rain yet, and temperatures still in the high 50s and low 60s. But here's the thing. Look at how far this thing tracks down to the southwest. Everything from the Rio Grande up through Texas, Oklahoma, and it's just going to continue to roll through us for the afternoon hours as well. And on the backside of it, then we get the cold front for Saturday. Even a chance for some snow on Sunday, but it won't stick because of our temps. Back right after this.
An FDA advisory committee votes to recommend a coronavirus vaccine for emergency use. We'll have the latest. Plus, how pharmacies are preparing to distribute the vaccine. And Joplin police arrest 2 suspects connected to a deadly arson.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News at 6 a.m. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, a bipartisan coronavirus relief package hits another roadblock. We'll have the latest. And Time Magazine selects Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for its 2020 Person of the Year. For our Something to Talk About, we're asking what you think about the choice and if you would have picked someone else. Be sure to chime in on our Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
I owe everybody a big apology from last night. Kind of orient ourselves here. Bottom left-hand corner is our United States flag outside of Television City, and then we've got the street lamps. But you'll notice, we've been talking in that last couple of days, Venus clearly showing in that picture right there. Well, I thought if it took off about midnight, you could beat the cloud cover and go see planets. Yeah, I took off about midnight. I didn't beat the cloud cover. So for all of you that did try to, hopefully you don't listen to me. Not you go, that Yahoo. If you did go out around midnight, I apologize. I thought it'd be just an hour later. All right, there's our rain as it progresses in from the southwest. It's just going to be a wet Friday. Now, you can tell it's going to be elongated, too, as it lasts from the Rio Grande all the way through the 4 states. I guess the positive aspect of the morning is at least, it's not freezing. We're talking about 58 degrees from the Freeman Health System sky camera. We have seen a 2-degree drop here in the last hour, so an indicator of where we're going. And up here in the top left-hand corner where you see that wind shift, we're slowly seeing that front make its way from the northwest down to the southeast. So that line of Neodesha, Chanute, Iola, those are going to be the next ones that begin to drop. And then throughout the course of the evening, everything down to the southeast then drops. Not a quick one, not going to be one of those where the rug gets ripped out from under us by any means. But still, kids are going to need to take heed just because the rain's going to stick around. Now, key factor is going to be overnight. That's when the chill really drops in. Saturday and Sunday looking, like a taste of December, truly. Sunday, Tanya, we're talking about a chance for a little wintry precip. Southern portion of the 4 states. But I really think with the fact that we had record-setting highs on Thursday and a very warm Wednesday, it's not going to be able to stick around on the roads.
Well, that's good. I don't think we want the snow, but we're not really ready for it.
Sunday may be perfect because you're down south. Only down south, I think, is what we're going to see. You're going to be like, that's a really pretty sight. Thank goodness it's not hampering my travel.
True. And I'm staying indoors today.
Right.
There you go. All right. Thanks, Michael. Well, coronavirus vaccine is on the verge of being approved in the U.S. An FDA advisory committee voted Thursday to endorse Pfizer's vaccine for emergency use. The agency is expected to move quickly to make it widely available. The vaccine's approval came on the same day that more than 3,300 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the country. It was the most since the pandemic began, breaking a record set a day earlier. And now a big part of distribution to the country's most vulnerable will be pharmacy chains, Walgreens and CVS. KOAM's Zach Dodge has details on how they would get those vaccines to residents and the most vulnerable.
CVS Health is currently hiring more than 10,000 more associates so they can be ready to administer vaccines at more than 40,000 long-term care facilities across the nation. Walgreens will be going to more than 30,000. Both pharmacy chains have contracts with the CDC and Operation Warp Speed to give those vaccines to nursing home residents and staff because they have the capacity to store the vaccines that require sub-zero temperatures. At CVS, they anticipate getting vaccines into the arms of nursing home residents within just a few days, putting their more than 60,000 pharmacy techs and 30,000 pharmacists to work. In Missouri, at least, the Department of Health and Senior Services anticipates that distribution will likely happen around December 21st. Both companies say once vaccines are more widely available, residents will be able to go to any CVS or Walgreens pharmacy to get immunized, likely in the spring or summer of 2021.
We do feel confident that we can get to those who are looking to get a COVID vaccine. Nearly 80% of Americans live within 5 miles of a Walgreens right now, and we're packaging up different ways like remote clinics and mobile pharmacies to really get out there and support those communities in need.
Reporting in Joplin, Zach Dodge, KOAM News.
Vaccines will be free for all residents. Pharmacies like Walgreens and CVS can charge a small administrative fee for giving the vaccine, but no one can be turned away if they cannot afford that fee. Local hospitals are once again nearing capacity as the pandemic hits the area hard. Freeman Health System has 56 COVID patients, with 11 of them in intensive care. Mercy Hospital in Joplin is currently caring for 57 COVID patients, with 8 being in the ICU. A spokesperson for Mercy Hospital says that number looks high, but it includes patients they normally would not include in their counts. They just changed how they count those patients, deciding to include patients who are COVID-19 positive but do not have to be isolated. In Pittsburgh, Ascension Via Christi is currently caring for 19 patients, and in Oklahoma, between Integris, Miami, and Grove, there's 18 COVID patients. Spokesperson for Integris says they are nearing capacity at both hospitals. Joplin police arrest 2 people in connection with a deadly fire on December 4th. The suspects, Tiffany Lukasevich from Pittsburgh and Elizabeth Baez from Joplin, are charged with second-degree murder, first-degree arson, and first-degree domestic assault for the fire on South Pitcher that killed 68-year-old David Crowder and hospitalized 2 women. Well, Senator Pat Roberts from Kansas gave his goodbye speech yesterday on the Senate floor. In January of 2019, Senator Roberts announced he would not seek re-election after more than 20 years in the Senate and nearly 40 years on Capitol Hill. In his speech, the outgoing senator thanked Kansans and his colleagues in Congress for their support over the years.
To Kansas, I say a humble thank you. Thank you for the privilege of representing you in this great body. To my colleagues, thank you for fighting on behalf of our great nation and alongside me to preserve this chamber. It has been such a privilege. So as I ride off into the sunset to create a new normal for Frank and me, I will be cheering for the Senate to rebuild the bridges of comedy that will create a new normal. My colleagues, my time is up. Thank you for yours. I yield the floor.
I have a memory from meeting Senator Roberts back in the 4th grade. He and Jerry Moran paid a trip to Jetmore, Kansas back in, I'm not even going to say what year it was, but many, many, many moons ago when I was in 4th grade, my Girl Scout troop had a field trip to City Hall, and we were met by Jerry Moran and Pat Roberts, and we learned about civic duty and serving your state, serving your country, and what you can do. And it just amazed me that he took the time out of his busy schedule to meet with a group of 4th through 6th graders. So that was really awesome, and I'll always remember that. I remember interviewing him for a story on the Farm Bill in 2003 that I did in college. Yes.
That's tremendous. Yeah. And I tell you what, I don't care what side of the aisle you're on, is when we talk about somebody who's served the government and everything, that voice of his is irreplaceable. You could just throw up a radio, what they call a reader act, a radio soundbite, and everybody would instantly know it was Pat Roberts. You wouldn't even have to identify. Yeah. It was a tremendous voice. Thank you for telling that story too. That was cool. Coming into this block, I asked Tanya, I'm like, hey, do you have, you're a Kansas native, do you have any Pat Roberts stories? I appreciate that. That's cool. I want to transition, Tanya, to the Skywatch Storm Tracker real fast, and I'm going to put on the storm tracks. Now, we're not looking at anything severe here, but this will give you an idea of exactly where everything is moving, kind of give you the cone as far as where that heavy rain right there is moving out of northeast Oklahoma. And like I said, we're not looking at anything severe. It's just going to be a wet Friday. And remember, our temperatures drop as we head into the weekend, even a chance for snow on Sunday. But you're really going to have to be about Joplin into the south to even see any of it.
All right. That's a look at this morning's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Coming up on the KOAM Morning News, a spike in cybercrime.
Cybersecurity experts are seeing a rise in ransomware attacks. I'm Elise Preston with details on how criminal hackers are targeting schools and hospitals.
Plus, we'll tell you when you can expect to receive a COVID-19 vaccine. And Jesse Irwin gives us a preview of Journey to Bethlehem.
The Racine Christian Church holds the Journey to Bethlehem experience every year, and this year they're doing it on KOAM. We'll have a conversation with the worship minister coming up. You're watching the KOAM Morning News. More real news in the morning. We'll be right back.
In Money Watch this morning, the Senate's top Republican says he will not support a $908 billion coronavirus relief bill, effectively killing the bipartisan effort for now. Senator Mitch McConnell called funding in the bill for state and local governments, quote, controversial state bailouts, and said some of his Republican colleagues will not support it. McConnell also wants liability protection for businesses facing potential COVID lawsuits, something Democrats object to. Cases of cyber ransomware are on the rise during the pandemic. Criminals are targeting hospitals and schools with vulnerable remote learning environments. Federal officials expect that will continue through the 2021 academic year. Elise Preston reports.
Teachers in Huntsville, Alabama are going old school. They're printing their lessons on paper after cyber criminals hit the district with a ransomware attack locking down the computer network.
It's terrible to see a district with some motivated employees moving forward to then have one more obstacle like this.
Officials are not revealing how much ransom the hackers demand, but Huntsville is far from alone. School computer systems in Baltimore County and Hartford, Connecticut were also hit this year.
They can hijack your computer.
Cybersecurity expert Scott Schober says municipalities, businesses, and even hospitals are ransomware targets. Criminals often send a fake email to employees with a link. Clicking on it downloads malware and allows the hacker into the network.
And now the cybercriminal works laterally through the computer networks to then find the target machine or machines and then encrypt the data and then send them the ransom note.
Ransom notes like this one demand money to restore access to the computer network. Internet security company SonicWall says cases surged 40% this year. The average payment also climbed from a few $1,000s in 2018 to more than $230,000.
And usually it's done with digital currency. Cryptocurrency, Bitcoin is the preferred choice, so the criminals can remain anonymous.
Security experts say it's vital for hospitals and every business to have a strong network backup system to thwart ransomware attacks. Elise Preston, CBS News, New York.
In October, the Departments of Justice and Homeland Security warned of coordinated cyber attacks on the healthcare industry. Well, because of the pandemic, many kids will not get the chance to sit on Santa's lap to tell him what they want for Christmas. So we're giving 4-state kids the chance to send those lists directly to Santa himself. With the help of mom or dad, kids can fill out a list on our website at koamnewsnow.com/North Pole. Starting 1 week from today, during the 6 o'clock hour of the KOAM Morning News, the big man in red will read the list of the good little boys and girls in the 4 states.
A little past 6:17 on this Friday morning as the rain that we anticipated is now firmly moved through the 4 states. We're starting to pick up a little bit right here. It's coming down at a good clip. Put the storm tracks on. Now, don't be alarmed. We're not looking at anything severe. Just wanted to kind of give you an angle of where everything was moving. And that's why, because it lasts all the way down to the Rio Grande, we know it's pretty much going to be an all-day affair. You can tell that one, just pick it up right there as we take a live look from the Skywatch storm tracker. Now, temperature-wise, no reason to be alarmed on that. 58 degrees. We've only dropped 2 degrees, really. But also, too, this is about as good as we're going to get. Not a huge drop throughout the course of the day, just kind of a steady one. Now, the dividing line right there. So we'll see Neodesha, Chanute, Iola begin to drop. And then as that front pushes down to the southeast, it's going to be an elongated affair. It's not going to be anything quick, but just plan on the umbrella all day long. And then by the time we get into Saturday morning, that's when we're talking about the cold front really taking effect. Look at that big change in temperature. Any snow that we do see on Sunday really going to stay down to the southern portion of the 4 states. And I really think our ground's too warm to have any impact on travel. Now, let's turn it over to our own Jesse Irwin.
On Saturday on KOAM, we'll be airing Journey to Bethlehem, an incredible experience that is usually an in-person one, but this year, it's taken to the big screen, or whatever size screen you have in your living room. And this morning we are joined by Darren Brower, who is the worship minister with the Racing Church, who puts on the Journey to Bethlehem. Darren, how are you doing this morning?
Doing okay, doing good.
Well, usually this is an in-person experience, but you guys are doing it a little differently this year because, of course, it's 2020. So, I mean, for those who haven't been or haven't experienced this before, can you sort of paint a picture for us of what the Journey to Bethlehem is like?
Okay, well, it's a production by Racing Christian Church, and we do this every year as our gift to the community. It's a free event. Everything's free, and usually consists of an inside stage show that's about 45 minutes, and then a time outside where you walk through different scenes. Basically, you're taking a journey a family would have taken, like Mary and Joseph did when they were required to return to Bethlehem for the census back in the Bible times when Jesus was born. And so you're following that and that path and going to the different stations and getting a little bit of the story along the way.
That's really, really cool. So what's the age range for this? Can anybody show up? I assume it's for kids too, right?
Oh yeah. Kids love it because we have live animals. We even have camels, and that's the big draw. Kids love to see the camels, and we have sheep and goats and donkeys, and so it's kind of realistic in that matter. So the kids love it, the adults love it, and it's really cool because you get a chance to families can go and do this together, free of charge, and they can go have this experience and start their Christmas season off with that. So anyone from little kids to the elderly love to come see it.
Well, I have to imagine any sort of film production in 2020 is really difficult to make happen. We hear these reports out of Hollywood and out of different filming locations around the world that they have to follow these COVID protocols really closely, and for good reason. But how did you guys navigate that? I mean, first of all, this is the first time you've ever filmed the Journey to Bethlehem experience, but I mean, how did you go about sort of following protocol while also making sure that you guys are doing the Journey to Bethlehem experience justice?
Right. Well, it was a small crew. We didn't have nearly the amount of actors that we would have in a normal Journey production. So it was a much smaller crew, and then just the fact that we were able to do it in a video experience rather than having, lots and lots of people there together, helped it to be more of a safer environment or a safer production, I guess.
Well, Darren, if people want to learn more about the Journey to Bethlehem experience and give themselves a little bit of context behind what they'll be watching on KOAM this weekend, I mean, what Where can they go?
Yeah, you can go to our Facebook page is probably the best place to learn about Journey to Bethlehem. So you just search Journey to Bethlehem and you might type in the word Racine, RACINE, because there are other ones around the country. But that should pop up, and then you can see there's a synopsis of what it's all about, and you can see we'll keep you in touch if you want to like it and follow that. You'll see updates of when things are changing and happening with Journey.
The Journey to Bethlehem airs on KOAM this weekend on Saturday at 6:30 p.m. You can learn more. Just head to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. We'll have more info on our morning show page. Darren, thank you for joining us, and we'll be right back on the KOAM Morning News after this.
Topping Health Watch this morning, states are already gearing up to give out a coronavirus vaccine. So when can you get a vaccine? Mandy Gaither tells us it depends on your age, health, and occupation.
Help is on the way. Vaccines are imminent.
The first to get vaccinated for COVID-19 in the U.S. will be some of those hardest hit by the pandemic. Frontline healthcare workers and support staff and residents of long-term care facilities.
We'll be starting to get vaccine doses in people's arms by the middle and end of December, and then more in January, more in February, and as we get into the late winter and early spring, a lot more.
The next groups to get vaccinated haven't been decided yet, but in January it could be more healthcare workers and other essential workers like emergency medical techs, firefighters, and police. By February, vaccinations may move to other facilities like pharmacies and medical practices and to high-risk adults. In March, it's possible that the U.S. will still be in phase 1 of vaccination simply because of the sheer numbers involved. By April, if more vaccines have been approved and brought online, it's possible phase 2 of vaccinations could begin. This group might include K-12 teachers and staff and childcare workers, as well as other critical workers such as retail workers and transportation workers. Young adults and children would have to wait until phase 3, likely to be May at the earliest. For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
The federal government has promised that any coronavirus vaccine will be provided free of charge to the American public. That's a look at some of today's top health stories. You're watching the KOAM Morning News.
An FDA advisory committee votes to recommend a coronavirus vaccine for emergency use. We'll have the latest. Plus, how pharmacies are preparing to distribute the vaccine. And Joplin police arrest 2 suspects connected to a deadly arson.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Good morning and welcome to the KOAM Morning News. It's 6:30. I'm Tanya Bach. Coming up this half hour, the federal government executes the youngest convict in 70 years. We'll have the latest on that and something to talk about on the KOAM News Now Facebook page. We're asking how you feel about Time Magazine choosing Joe Biden and Kamala Harris for 2020's Person of the Year. We also invite you to participate in our Insta poll at KOAMnewsnow.com/vote. But first, a check on your forecast.
Rain's picking up a little bit. Put our storm tracks on, give you an idea of the direction that it's heading right now. Not looking at anything severe, but we'll kind of isolate right here on the Joplin area where we got a good one coming down as it is rolling just on the north side of Highway 96, and that thing's going to progress toward Highway 49, I-49. So like I said, it's very isolated, these yellow spots that we're seeing, but know that if you're out and about and you run into one of those, it's going to pour on you for about 5 to 10 minutes right there. Now, when you do step outside, if you haven't been out there yet, grab your umbrella, but no, it's very comfortable. 58 degrees is where we stand from the Freeman Health System Sky Camera in Joplin. 59 in Neosho, 55 in Pittsburgh, 57 in Miami. Far left-hand corner, top left-hand corner, you can tell. That's where the cold front is beginning to move in. Yates Center already dropping down to 45, Iola down to 48. They were at 52 just about half an hour ago. Sunrise officially at 7:22. We're just not going to see much of it because we got a rainy day ahead as the trough of the jet stream has now moved over the panhandles, headed toward us, going to funnel us all that from the Rio Grande straight through the 4 states up toward Iowa. Now, they can deal with the snow. Ours will stay as rain on this Friday, and that's because we're coming off record-setting temperatures at Joplin Regional Airport from yesterday. Now, we do have a chance for a little wintry mix here, but we're really not going to see that until Sunday. And when we do future track and put it into Sunday, watch how far south it does stay. So it's not going to be widespread. Not everybody is going to be able to see the snow. And fact of the matter is, coming off of a extremely warm Wednesday and Thursday, minimal travel impacts. Everything that hits that ground, those roads, is pretty much going to melt on contact.
All right. Well, we will be prepared for it if it comes. And
I really don't even see us. I really don't even see us like freezing on elevated surfaces. Yeah, I want everybody to be careful. You know, take your foot off the gas there when you get to the bridges and overpasses. But I don't think it'll be a problem.
Just pack a coat because it's going to get colder tonight. There you go.
Oh yeah, pack it in when the sun goes down, because then we're going from the 50s down to the 30s.
Yep. If the kids didn't bring their coats home yesterday, make them bring them home today. Reiterate that.
I had one of the littles want to pick up from school. Go, Dad, did you talk about me and my coat? I'm like, yeah, buddy, I may have said something. Why?
Did he bring it home?
Yeah,
That's
because somebody reminded him to.
Yes. There you go. All right, thanks, Michael. Well, coronavirus vaccine is on the verge of being approved in the U.S. An FDA advisory committee voted Thursday to endorse Pfizer's vaccine for emergency use. The agency is expected to move quickly to make it widely available. The vaccine's approval came on the same day that more than 3,300 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the country. It was the most since the pandemic began, breaking a record set a day earlier. Well, now that a COVID-19 vaccine is one step closer to approval, pharmacies are getting ready to put it in the hands of the most vulnerable. CVS and Walgreens both have contracts with the federal and state governments to distribute vaccines to long-term care facilities. CVS says they're hiring more than 10,000 new employees by the end of the year so they can serve the more than 40,000 facilities that have signed up. Walgreens has increased its ability to store the vaccine that requires sub-zero temperatures and is ready to take it to more than 30,000 nursing homes. In Missouri, the Department of Health expects that distribution to start around December 21st. Joplin police arrest 2 people in connection with a deadly fire on December 4th. The suspects, Tiffany Lukasevich from Pittsburgh and Elizabeth Baez from Joplin, are charged with second-degree murder, first-degree arson, and first-degree domestic assault for the fire on South Pitcher that killed 68-year-old David Crowder and hospitalized 2 women. A Missouri marijuana grower just celebrated the first legal harvest yesterday. It's the first such harvest in the Kansas City metro area. Betsy Webster got an exclusive look inside to show you the process from seed to sale.
Well, if you're wondering why I'm dressed like a doctor about to go into surgery, that's because cross-contamination is a big thing they're trying to avoid here, because it's such a specific and complex process that it has taken 120 days to get to this stage. I mean, this is much more complicated than growing greenhouse tomatoes. Today's harvest at Illicit Gardens was 100 pounds. That'll yield $500,000 wholesale, but it wasn't cheap to get the operation started.
This facility, was millions of dollars to build out.
The plants start off as cuttings, not from seed, but from clones.
So, you'll take one of these lower branches down here, something like this. You'll clip it at the base. You dip it in a rooting hormone.
COO Adam Diltz showed us each stage. The little guys get transplanted into these 4-inch rock wool cubes after 13 days. They eventually grow to look like these. They call this the veg room, short for vegetation.
We have about a 50-day total veg cycle from clone until it goes into flower.
Then it's on to the flower room. The flower is the part with the THC. The process begins when they change the light cycle.
That flips a hormone in the plant to begin the flowering process.
But it takes 65 days from that to get to the mature stage they harvested today. Each plant gets weighed. The weight gets plugged into a database for the state. Then it's out to the floor to pick off all the leaves.
And what you don't want is you don't want the leaves kind of wrapping around the buds and causing a microclimate that could form mold.
Their cycled setup means they'll be harvesting every 13 days. An expected 300 pounds or $1.2 million in wholesale product each month. Now, this product is not ready to go to dispensaries yet. First, they're going to have to dry it and cure it. They take 2 to 3 weeks to do that because they consider it sort of a boutique product. Then a testing tech, independent testing tech licensed by the state, has to come in, take random samples. Between going through that and getting the packaging done, it won't be ready for shelves until January.
Missourians voted to legalize medical cannabis back in 2018. That's a look at our top news stories coming up this half hour on the KOAM Morning News. The transition continues.
As President-elect Joe Biden continues to fill out his cabinet, President Trump refuses to concede. I'm Bofti Imam in Washington with more on GOP lawmakers jumping on board with the latest effort to overturn the election's results.
Plus, do you agree with this year's selection for Time Person of the Year? We let you weigh in our Something to Talk About, but first, it's 6:37.
Here's where we're standing right now on the Skywatch Storm Tracker with early morning Friday rain that will persist throughout the course of our day into the evening. Now, the cold front really sets in after sunset around 5 o'clock as we'll drop into the 40s and 30s over the weekend. We'll be back with Nation Watch next.
Topping Nation Watch this morning, as President-elect Joe Biden continues to fill out his cabinet, President Trump continues to dispute the results of the election. And now, as Bafta Imam explains, a large swatch of the GOP is joining in on the latest effort to challenge the vote.
More than half of House Republicans, at least 106 to be exact, are now backing a lawsuit brought by Texas's Attorney General, aiming to overturn the election results in key states.
There's no way to know whether any of those 2.5 million ballots in Pennsylvania were legit. They could have all been legit.
The Department of Homeland Security and the Justice Department maintain there has been no evidence of widespread fraud or irregularities. Still, 17 Republican attorney generals also backed the suit against Georgia, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin. But not all Republicans support the challenge.
I do not understand the legal theory.
It's just simply madness, this effort to subvert the vote of the people.
Officials from the states being sued say the lawsuit is an attempt to undermine democracy.
And I understand people are still emotionally raw. I still have family members who just want to, they cannot possibly imagine how Joe Biden has won the state of Georgia. He did.
Many legal experts say the suit is an extreme long shot.
It is achieving its aim just by the fact that we're having this conversation right now. And it is stunningly unlikely that it's going to get any traction at the U.S. Supreme Court.
Biden, meantime, continues to push ahead, assembling his senior leadership team. Yesterday, he named former Obama Chief of Staff Dennis McDonough as his pick for Secretary of Veterans Affairs, and Obama's National Security Advisor and UN Ambassador Susan Rice as Director of the Domestic Policy Council. Bofta Imam, CBS News, Washington.
Biden also named Catherine Tai to be the U.S.'s top trade representative. Tai, who is Asian American, would be the first woman of color to hold the post. The Trump administration carried out its ninth federal execution of the year on Thursday night. 40-year-old Brandon Bernard had been sentenced to death for his role in 2 murders when he was 18 years old. It was the first federal execution during a lame duck presidency in 130 years. 4 more are scheduled before President-elect Biden takes office. That's a look at today's top national stories. Let's check back in with Michael for our Morning Talker.
Not only 4 more, Tanya, you've got one scheduled for today, and then to begin 2021, it would be the infamous Lisa Marie Montgomery, who, of course, was arrested up in northwestern Missouri for the murder of Bobby Joe Stinnett, and then Lisa Marie Montgomery then arrested in Kansas after cutting the baby out of Bobby Joe Stinnett's womb. And so, yeah, she is on that list that you just mentioned. Right. No, I had a long conversation about that with somebody just last night. We were talking about Lisa Marie Montgomery. KOAM News Now Facebook page and our morning Insta poll. We've got Joe Biden and Kamala Harris named as Time's Persons, plural, of the year. Asking if you agree with this year's selection. Right now, 69% of you say no, that you do not agree. And you can tell us if you agree or disagree by going to the KOAM News Now Insta poll. Go to komnewsnow.com/vote, or if you'd like to go to our Facebook page, let us know what you think about the selection, and if you disagree, maybe who you would have picked. We'll be back with birthdays and anniversaries right after this.
We take this for today's four-state hero, motor machinist third class Donald Anderson, a member of the United States Navy from 1944 to 1946. He was stationed in Pearl Harbor during World War II. His hometown, Galena, Kansas. We are proud to salute Donald Anderson, our four-state hero.
Let's begin our birthday list. Hey, that's a smile you can't be right there. When Mom says smile for the camera, Jordan Rattery comes up big. Happy third birthday to you, Mr. Jordan in front.
All right. And we've got Crew Shannon celebrating 7 strong this year in Humboldt.
Hey,
Happy
I know what that
birthday.
dude's watching at night.
Yeah.
After he gets his homework done, of course. He's watching a little NFR.
Nice. Oh, yeah, that is tonight. Happy birthday from Mom, Dad, and your brothers.
Good looking hat there, kid. Kendall Dollison. Hey, we may be a day late on you, Kendall, but you know what? I want you to carry your birthday celebration on into the weekend as Kendall celebrates number 7 in Miami.
All right, we've got Shelby Humble turning 7 strong this year. Quite a few 7 strongers. I love it. In Girard. Happy birthday, Shelby.
Oh, we got a shootbox birthday. Mm-hmm. That's a get up right now. But what do you think? Was it Halloween? Do we have a play? I don't know. It's gorgeous.
It is. Cleopatra?
I think so. Milan, happy 8th birthday to you, my friend, in Farlington.
Oh, she's grown up. So cute. And Danica Stitch turning 8 years old this year in Chanute.
I love this.
Happy birthday, Danica.
I love the spelling of this first name right. Tanya, I've got Mickey Mouse over here yelling at me. We'll get to the KOAM toy box here in just a little bit. I love the spelling of this first name right here. I have not seen this before, and I just think it's marvelous. Georgia Harris, pronounced like the state, but I love the way it's spelled. A happy 14th to you, Miss Georgia in Erie.
All right. Riley Smith is celebrating birthday number 14 this year. What a great smile there on Riley in Chanute.
All right. It's organic when we do this, folks. I promise we don't pre-release. My God, kid, how are you 17? You guys have heard me talk about this before. It's a family that is very near and dear to the Hayslips. I've known her, I don't know, since she was 5. Something like that. Hey, kiddo, number 1, I'm very proud of you. Number 2, the way that you've treated my kids and my family, I can't thank you enough. You are the epitome of human dignity, and you're a wonderful young woman. I'll say that now that you're 17, but you'll always be a kid to me. A happy 17th birthday to Heather Arnett.
Happy birthday, Heather. And a happy birthday going out to Bryce Davis. His birthday's coming up on Sunday, actually. Turning 19 this year in Columbus.
All right, so this dude's got a lot of birthday wishes coming to him because they come from Dad, Elaine, family, and friends. And I bet you that little one behind him. He's just like, Dad, this is how we roll. Dusty Schlichten, a happy 29th birthday to Dusty and Lamar.
All right. Randy Black, turning the big 5-0 this year. Happy birthday to Randy. Love Amy, Lexi, and Chloe in Carthage.
It's a cool picture right there. I love that. Mike Tuba, our good friend Mike. This is great. A happy 62nd birthday. Yeah, she's not spoiled at all. Mike's celebrating in Jasper.
All right, Steve Sisney turning 68 years old this year with a throwback pick up in Fort Scott.
A couple frequent friends here with birthdays on the same day. That's too cool. Clara Whalen, Miss Clara, she is celebrating her 86th birthday. Clara, I want you to have a wonderful weekend in St. Paul.
All right, and turning 94 years old this year.
A
little rendering there of Jim Muskrat in Carthage. Happy birthday.
Jim, you may have just been a first. How many caricatures have we ever had sit in for birthday pictures?
I don't think we've ever had any.
It's the first one I can remember, put it that way. Jim, that is phenomenal. Happy birthday. That's great. All right, Pam Gordado, a happy birthday to you. As Miss Pam, she's in Columbus.
Right, and Mark and Crystal Johnson are celebrating their 8th anniversary this year. Congratulations to the Johnsons in La Russell, Missouri.
Okay, so I'm going to make sure this goes on the internet right here because Agnes Leona Lindsay has a birthday coming up on Sunday. And the reason we're doing it today is because if you want to send a birthday card, there's 2 addresses, and we're going to go ahead and post that. And we'll put it on, we'll just put it somewhere in the birthday section. But Agnes Leona is turning 1. So if you want to send Agnes Leona a birthday card, if you're just like a regular viewer, I think it would mean the world to you. And Agnes Leona is celebrating in Oswego, and I want you to have a marvelous birthday weekend, Miss Lindsay.
All right. And
Who that
one
is?
of our very own news assistants, Nightside News Assistant Sean Gordon, happy birthday.
Betsy Valley, I need everybody to do me a favor, and number 1, if you're at Medical Lodges, social distance, wish her a happy birthday. And then ask Betsy if she is by any chance related to Dave Valley, because I would like to know. Happy birthday to Betsy. And Steve Basinger, he is celebrating his 53rd birthday in Webb City. Happy birthday and happy anniversary to all. Now, here's Tanya Bach with a very important birthday announcement.
That's right, you can be a part of the KOAM Birthday Club. All you have to do is go to our website and sign up. And once you do, you'll get special deals from local businesses. Go to KOAMnewsnow.com and sign up for the KOAM Birthday Club today. Here's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door. A coronavirus vaccine is on the verge of being approved in the U.S. An FDA advisory committee voted Thursday to endorse Pfizer's vaccine for emergency use. The agency is expected to move quickly to make it widely available. Vaccine's approval came on the same day that more than 3,300 COVID-19 deaths were reported in the country. It was the most since the pandemic began, breaking a record set a day earlier. Well, now that a COVID-19 vaccine is one step closer to approval, pharmacies are getting ready to put it in the hands of the most vulnerable. CVS and Walgreens both have contracts with the federal and state governments to distribute vaccines to long-term care facilities. CVS says they're hiring more than 10,000 new employees by the end of the year so they can serve the more than 40,000 facilities that have signed up. Walgreens has increased its ability to store the vaccine that requires sub-zero temperatures. And Joplin police arrest 2 people in connection with a deadly fire on December 4th. The suspects, Tiffany Lukasevich from Pittsburgh and Elizabeth Baez from Joplin, are charged with second-degree murder, first-degree arson, and first-degree domestic assault for the fire on South Pitcher that killed 68-year-old David Crowder and hospitalized 2 women. Heartland Rural Electric Cooperative is building solar farms across the state of Kansas, and that includes one in Girard near Greenbush along Highway 47. Another solar array will be built in Neosho County between Erie and Chanute along 160th Road. That's a check of today's top headlines, the news you need to know before you head out the door.
Here's where we're seeing Tanya on the Skywatch storm tracker right now with our early Friday rain. I'm going to remove the cloud cover and put on the storm tracks just so we get an idea of where our heaviest patches are headed from a southwest to northeast track. And here's why we're not going to slow down all day long. We can trace this thing all the way back to the Rio Grande, so it's going to be a wet, wet Friday. Now, the cold front really doesn't sweep in and our temperatures truly drop until we get after sunset. But after that, it's going to be a chilly weekend. That Sunday wintry mix you see, yeah, you're going to have to get probably Joplin and south of that for it even to show up, and no accumulation with as warm as we've been lately.
Well, coming up today at noon, we're making a Mr. Food recipe called Dining Room Chicken.
Who that is? Our good friend Jesse Irwin's going to join us over on Fox 14. Jesse, enjoyed your first story during the KOAM Morning News. What do you got coming up here in just a little bit?
Well, we're going to be previewing Journey to Bethlehem, which is going to be super exciting. It's airing tomorrow on KOAM. And of course, we're going to get ready for the holiday weekend. You know, we're getting in second night of Hanukkah. We're getting closer to Christmas. So we're going to kind of dive even more into the holiday spirit. We'll have that and more over on Fox.
Thank you, Jesse. Look forward to seeing you. Want you, all of you, to have a great, safe Friday and a wonderful weekend. We'll do this all again on Monday morning.
And we're going to do it again today at noon.
Today's Pledge of Allegiance is brought to you by Freeman.